Waheshimiwa, na tuombe. Ewe Mwenyezi Mungu, ambaye kwa hekima na wema wako umeteua nyadhifa za viongozi na mabunge kwa ustawi wa jamii na utawala wa haki ya wanadamu. Twakusihi utazame kwa neema nyingi sisi watumishi wako ambao wameridhika kutuita ili tutekeleze shughuli muhimu za jamhuri yetu. Twakuomba uteremshie baraka zako sisi tuliokutanika hapa, na tujalie na tuyatende na kufikiria mambo yote yatakayofikishwa mbele yetu kwa njia ya haki na uaminifu, ili utukufu na sifa zako ziendelezwe, na ili kustawisha amani, ufanisi na heri ya nchi yetu na wale ambao haja zao wamesikabidhi mikononi mwetu. Amen. Sergeant, you may ring the division bell. Yes, yes. Wametosha. Order, honorable members, we now have quorum to transact business. Clerk.
Order number 1, administration of oath. Order number 2, communication from the chair.
Honorable members at the back, can you take your seats? Honorable members, I wish to introduce to you a delegation from the East African Women's League who are seated in the Speaker's Gallery. Do I see them? Yes. Oh, they're there. Honorable members, the East Africa Women's League was established in 1917, initially to press for voting rights for women and women's participation in legislation affecting women and girls, which was granted in 1919. The League now has a membership of over 1,000 women for all races, cultures, and religions grouped in branches across Kenya. Honorable members, in 1964, members of the East African Women's League presented to the government of Kenya beautiful tapestries that they created. These tapestries were thereafter passed on to the legislature to be permanently displayed. These beautiful works of framed tapestries are displayed along the walls of the walkways of the National Assembly, outside Committee Rooms 7, 8, and 9, where they have remained for years. They not only remind us of our past, but also of our role as the country's supreme lawmaking body in fostering welfare and unity among the people of the Republic of Kenya. Honorable members, the women present here are the descendants of those women of valor who fought relentlessly for the democratic rights of women to participate in the political process in this country. On my own behalf and that of the National Assembly, I welcome them to Parliament and wish them fruitful engagement during their visit. I thank you. The second communication, honorable members, is on the manner of processing of questions for response by cabinet secretaries before the House. Honorable members at the back, can you take your seats? Those whispering to each other, I've given you an opportunity to take your seats. Take the nearest seat, honorable member. Honorable members, as you are aware, on Thursday, 9th March 2023, the House adopted the report of the Procedure and House Rules Committee and passed amendments to the standing orders on the manner of processing questions. The passage of the amendments to the standing orders clears the way for cabinet secretaries to appear in this House, to respond to questions and to provide reports to the House pursuant to the general investigatory mandate of the House and the requirements of Article 153(2) and 153(4)(b) of the Constitution. The House resolved that the amendments shall take effect from today, Thursday, 23rd March 2023. In this regard, I wish to guide the House on the new procedure in which questions shall be dispensed with. Honorable members, as in the practice, a member will be required to deliver a signed copy of the proposed question to the clerk, who shall process it in line with the provisions of the standing orders before the final version is submitted to my office for approval. Thereafter, the clerk shall transmit the approved questions to the relevant ministries for response by the respective cabinet secretaries. Honorable members, with regard to the manner in which cabinet secretaries shall respond to questions, the leader of the majority party shall inform the House of the date, time, and order in which cabinet secretaries shall appear to reply to questions and provide reports to the House. In so doing, the leader of the majority party shall take into consideration the urgency of each question. To this end, honorable members, on a regular basis, the clerk shall prepare and publish on the parliamentary website a tentative list of cabinet secretaries scheduled to reply to questions and provide reports to the House on the advice of the leader of the majority party. A cabinet secretary shall provide both physical and electronic copies of the reply to a question at least one day before the said appearance. Once questions are scheduled to be responded to, a member shall ask his or her question on the day it is scheduled on the order paper. Questions shall be dispensed with in the sequence they appear in the schedule of questions to be appended to the order paper. Notably, honorable members, I shall allow a cabinet secretary to reply to a question on the day it is scheduled for reply, notwithstanding the absence of the member who raised the question. I want to repeat, if you file your question and it's listed, whether you are here or not, and the cabinet secretary is here, I will allow them to answer the question. Additionally, the speaker may vary the order in which questions shall be disposed of, or defer a question scheduled to be responded to. Further, a member may request the speaker to defer a question to a later date or withdraw the question altogether. For greater flexibility, a member whose question is listed in the order paper may, with prior written notice to the speaker, depute another member to ask the question in his or her absence. Honorable members, in keeping with the existing practice, questions directed to a constitutional commission or an independent office shall be replied to before the relevant committees of the House. Honorable members, where a member prefers a written reply to his or her question, I shall direct that a written reply be provided in respect of the question, and the clerk shall forward the question to the relevant Cabinet Secretary, Commission, or independent office, and the reply, once received, shall be provided to the Honorable Member. Honorable Members, you may have noticed that the amendment to Standing Order 43A gives priority to questions and reports by Cabinet Secretaries every Wednesday afternoon for a period not exceeding 3 hours. In this regard, and in order to allow adequate time for members to dispense with questions and to compensate for the time set aside for questions during the sitting, the amended Standing Order 32 has varied the hours of sitting on Wednesday afternoon from 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. Honorable members, you may take your seats. The nearest available seat. The nearest available seat. Honorable members, for clarity, notwithstanding the provisions of Standing Order 32C, the House may adjourn at 7 p.m. on Wednesdays during the afternoon sitting in the event the House concludes the business scheduled for the sitting, in addition to any questions scheduled for reply. Pursuant to the amendment of Standing Order 25AB, I have designated the place adjacent to the public servants' bench on the right of Mr. Speaker as the appropriate place in the chamber where a Cabinet Secretary shall expound on government policy, reply to questions, and provide reports concerning matters under his or her control. This is the usual place where the Cabinet Secretary for National Treasury presents budget highlights annually. Honorable members, after a Cabinet Secretary has responded to a question, the standing orders allow the Speaker the latitude to A, permit the member who raised a question to ask a maximum of 2 supplementary questions that relate to the original question, B, to permit a member other than the member who asked a question to ask a further supplementary question that relates to the original question, C, to direct a Cabinet Secretary to provide additional information or a further reply to a question or supplementary questions to the relevant committee of the House, D, to defer a question to a different time or day from its scheduled time and day. Honorable members, here I'll encourage members of my panel to be flexible. If a question is of such a national interest, not to limit it to 1 or 2 supplementaries, but to allow a few members who have similar issues to ventilate on the question. Honorable members, it has also been brought to my attention that the amendments considered and passed by the House on Thursday, 9th March 2023, in relation to the processing of questions contain some minor errors. In this regard, I do invoke the provisions of Standing Order 152.3 and direct the clerk to correct the errors. The clerk is further directed to publish and circulate to the members an addendum to the standing orders as a reference guide in the consideration and processing of questions by the House. Honorable members, it is my hope that this new procedure will enhance executive accountability to the National Assembly. I urge members to take time to familiarize themselves with the new procedure well in advance for the resumption of the House after the short recess. The House is guided accordingly. Further to that, honorable members, it should be made very clear from the onset that only Cabinet Secretaries are allowed under the amended standing orders to come and answer questions on the floor of the House. So Majority Leader, you may take the opportunity to communicate to the Cabinet Secretaries that there will be no room for delegation of anybody to come to this House to answer questions on behalf of the Cabinet Secretary. Each Cabinet Secretary is obligated under the Constitution to come to the House in person and answer questions or expound on policy in their docket in response to questions raised by members. Honorable members, on the communication on the Women's League, if there are any members, particularly our women, who want to make a comment, I'll give 15 minutes. I want to encourage you to laud the East African Women League. What I wonder is from 1917, why should we be having only 1,000 members? Majority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Allow me, on my own behalf and the people of Kikuyu, to welcome the Women's League to the National Assembly and laud them for the great work they have done to fight for women's rights, voting rights in this country. And also those who preceded them. As you have indicated, these are descendants of the actual members, the first founding members of the Women's League. But, Honorable Speaker, besides the short number of about 1,000 members, probably we should also note that women now are not just people who have voting rights in this country, but they constitute the most important voting bloc in our republic. And therefore, we want to encourage not just the Women's League, but the women of Kenya, that even as we embark on the process of realizing the 2/3 gender rule in terms of representation in this House and the Senate, that we will work with all women. And I say this especially so, Mr. Speaker, being a father to girls. I am a father to 4 very beautiful girls, and I know when we fight for women's rights, we fight for the rights of not just women, but the society at large. And therefore commend the Women's League for the work they have done over the years, but also encourage them to work with the male legislatures back in their constituencies to ensure that we do pass the 2/3 gender rule, to see that women not only vote, but represent the greater population of the Kenyan people, the majority of whom are women. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Martha Wangari, those who want to comment on the women, go to intervention.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, sir, and I also rise to help you in welcoming the Women's League, the East Africa Women Leagues, to this parliament, and also assure them that the fight that started in 1917 has not been in vain. Women here are no longer just voters. They are able to run for elective offices. We have entrenched affirmative action in the Constitution. In fact, in this parliament, we can boast of 102 women who are representing their population in different areas, both in the Senate and in the National Assembly. And it could not have come, this visit could not have come at a better time, Mr. Speaker, because just today, the Kenya Women Parliamentarians, KEWOPA, which cuts across the political parties, which cuts across the houses in the bicameral houses, Mr. Speaker, did their elections, and now we have a KEWOPA chair, Honorable Leah Sankare from Kajiado, leading an able team that will steer the agenda of women in this House and even internationally, Mr. Speaker. So we welcome them, and we hope that we can have some time to also interact with them as women leaders in this House. And Mr. Speaker, also as we fight to ensure that we have been able to attain what is in the Constitution, we hope that this can also go a long way to ensuring that our girls from the villages, from everywhere, even in the other countries of East Africa, Africa, and in the world, can learn from Kenya to be able to be at the forefront in terms of ensuring gender parity in leadership, not just as voters, but also as leaders. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Allow me also to welcome the Women's League. It's a society that has been on for many years, slightly over 100 now. And the numbers raise a little bit of questions. And also, we've not heard about them in our rural constituencies, so that as we welcome them, I will be looking up to see their representative from Tharaka, who has come to the House also to observe the proceedings. Vitally important today, let us congratulate the ladies who are elected to lead KEWOPA in this House. It shows that women are continuing to climb the ladder of leadership, and especially as we talk about the 2/3 gender rule, where essentially today it applies to women. And we hope with the time it will also apply to men as women continue taking up more and more of seats in the 2 legislative houses of parliament. So welcome the Kenya Women's League, and let us have more of you in the rural constituencies, because women there are waiting to hear and be mentored by you so that they can also climb as you have climbed. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Jared Okello.
Honorable Speaker, thank you for the opportunity, and I join my colleagues in welcoming the Women League in the House. Honorable Speaker, it has been over a century, our women fighting for what I would term their birthright. And I'm very perturbed that the process of democratization within our women folk has been too gradual. 100 years down the line, fighting for what is due to them is way too long, Honorable Speaker. But they are not losing hope, and we know that at one given time of their lifetime, they will have equal rights. Honorable Speaker, there are inscriptions all over the place writing for the just government of men. And we wonder what happened to the women folk who play a very pivotal role to the economic and democratization processes of our nation's, Honorable Speaker. I remember the immediate former, not immediate former, but the former United States of America and President Barack Obama, when he visited Kenya, he said if we would give our women equal opportunity as men, then this nation will be much better, because then it's akin to having one side of your football league participating in a match, Honorable Speaker. And I hope that together we shall make our women come to the realization of all the rights that they have been fighting for. And once again, I welcome the Women League in the House. I thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Member for Kilifi, Women Rep Kilifi.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. Might take this opportunity to welcome the Women League in the gallery. Mr. Speaker, the future is female. I want to congratulate our team, Kewopa, who we had the elections today morning, and I want to congratulate the new team. We want to work together, working towards the truth agenda in this House, Mr. Speaker, and we affirm, Mr. Speaker, we need your help. The 47 women reps, we've had it that women reps don't come back after one term. The ones who were elected 2013, Mr. Speaker, only 13 came back. And the ones who were elected 2017, only 16 came back. We need your help. We need the help of the male MPs to make sure we work together on the ground. And 47 women reps who are here to come back again 2027. Mr. Speaker, thank you, and we welcome the Women League. Learn from us. I'm a second-time women rep, and I want to come back as a single constituency MP from Kilifi North. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir.
Florence Chematia.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for the opportunity. First, from the onset, I want to thank and welcome the Women League to the floor, to the gallery and Parliament. I want to take this opportunity again to say that women in this country and the world have been on the move to change the world and to change this country. And for instance, as we speak now, Mr. Speaker, we have the late Grace Okot Onyango, who was our trailblazer. And we want to celebrate her even as she rests in peace. And we want to say that Kenya women have taken the first step in all the progresses, and we will work so hard. And we thank the the Women League for giving us the steps. And we are always focused to build and change the difference in our community. Because what a man does, a woman do it better, or does it better. Thank you.
Mbunge wa Changamwe.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. May I also join my colleagues in welcoming the Women League in the House. I want to encourage them to try to go back to the history of this country, where we had women who were tough fighters of our democratic space in this country. Women who shone in the various institutions that they were serving. You still have room for that, and we will encourage you, we'll work with you in the constituencies to make sure you reclaim your seats. And for those who also want to become MPs, you should also be assured that we are going to assist you to become MPs. There is room for you to compete because, Mr. Speaker, I want to emphasize here, in society today, women play a very important role. They're the ones who attend meetings in schools. They're the ones who take care of the children. They're the ones who even fend for the children in society. So I think it's high time they raise the bar and come to the national limelight to serve this nation with distinction. Otherwise, I welcome the Women League, and I encourage you to work hard so that you take your seat in the seat of nation. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Member for Thika Town.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I also rise to also welcome the Women League. And as a women of Kenya, I want to congratulate the Kiwopa leadership. Mr. Speaker, we have come from far, and the women of this nation have come from far. And as we celebrate all the women, even the women who are not the National Assembly, even our governors, it is because of this movement the women of Kenya have been given equal opportunity with our male counterpart, and that is why we are here today. Mr. Speaker, we want to remind every one of us that the women, these are the same women we went to school with in primary school, the same women we shared classes in secondary school, the same women to which we shared university classes together, even in leadership. That is why we are saying we also to be on the table making decisions. So we celebrate every woman who has taken step to make a difference in this country and in the entire world. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The last on this, member for Marsabit.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir, for allowing me to also say something on this. I want to take this opportunity to welcome the Women League to our country and also to Parliament, and also congratulate them for the far they have come. And I also want to take this opportunity to congratulate Kewopa. As women, this morning we have had elections, and we have elected our leadership, led by our sister Leah. And we know that women of Kenya have come from far to be where we are, and the future is bright because our government is so determined to support women and also see how best we can be included in almost every sector of this country. We know that women are the pillars of the society, and we, those of us who are in leadership now, are committed also to encourage others so that they can get into leadership, and moving forward, the future with women will be more brighter and more comfortable. Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. Honorable members, I wish to acknowledge the following schools: Metikei Girls High School in the Speaker's Gallery from Keio South, Elgeyo Marakwet; Kabarak High School from Rongai, Nakuru; Kandabilet Secondary School from Marakwet, Elgeyo Marakwet, Marakwet West; Kilimo High School from Njoro in Nakuru; Kabudhia Girls High School from Kangema, Muranga. I have been requested by Honorable Murugara He alleges he's an alumni of Kabarak. To be given a minute to say something.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I'm not alleging. It's a matter of fact.
It's with a light touch.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, I know. Mr. Speaker, sir, allow me to welcome the Kabarak High School in Rongai, that's in Nakuru, and the other students who are actually in the chambers of the parliament. I'm an alumni, having entered Kabarak High School in 1986 and did my A-levels in 1987. In 1987, Kabarak High School was actually tops in the Republic when it came to what used to be known as the Kenya Advanced Certificate of Education. It was not a mean feat. Mine is to tell the students to learn from what they see. These are leaders here who are supposed to be their role models, and that if they study well in their schools, in their education, in their academics, they are also likely to come to the house. They will be better off citizens. They are likely to actually scale the heights of professionalism in the country. And therefore, as they observe these proceedings, know that their role models are here, and we as members of parliament, we must execute that role as role models because they are observing and they are going to learn from us. Welcome, Kabarak. Welcome all the schools that are here this afternoon to observe the proceedings. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker.
The member at the back, I can't see you clearly. Member 4? Turkana Central. Honorable Mother.
Thank you.
You are also from Kabarak?
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I am also an alumni of Moi High School, Kabarak, and also a parent in Moi High School, Kabarak. I finished in the year 1997. My daughter is in Form 3 in Moi High School, Kabarak. She is called Michelle. Pass my greetings to her, Michelle Emathe.
She may be in the gallery.
Michelle Emathe.
Yes.
Honorable Chair, Honorable Speaker, Moi High School, Kabarak has a slogan, "On Earth We Rise." And I want to encourage the students from MHSK to keep it there. We still need you here. There is Honorable Kitur of Nandi Hills, also an alumni, and there's also Daniel Nanok Epuyo of Turkana West. He's also an alumni and he's here also a member in this house. And I want to thank you and encourage you to keep it up. I know you are disciplined, and with hard work, you will make it in life. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you, Honorable Mother. Robert Mbui.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I rise on Standing Order 1, which basically indicates in the absence of something that is not given expressly provided in the standing orders, that we can seek that you help to give direction. Now, Mr. Speaker, yesterday we, excuse me, we received your decision, Mr. Speaker, when you returned the request for CSS to be vetted by the House, and you said there's an absence of constitutional or statutory provisions that would have been used to do that. Mr. Speaker, I'm asking this because just now you did point out that cabinet secretaries will be allowed to come to answer questions in the chamber and if designated where they will be. But the practice, Mr. Speaker, has been that when dealing in committees, a lot of times the cabinet secretaries have sent either their CASs or their principal secretaries. Mr. Speaker, I would like you to advise, how do we interact with the CASs when it comes to committees in view of the fact that you yourself have kind of indicated that theirs is not a constitutional office? Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Robert Mbui, I think the communication was very clear. Ministers will come here to answer questions. In committees, I don't know what the chairmen do. When I was in the Senate, all the committees I sat of Finance, Defense, and Foreign Relations, we never allowed a minister to send a CAS or a PS on their behalf. we only dealt with ministers. I leave it to the chairman of committees to decide what they want to do. I will ask the majority leader at some point to give a statement on the floor of the House. What I, however, need to make clear is that the appearance of ministers in plenary here is not a closure of their appearance in committees. There will be questions that will be inadequately prosecuted on the floor, and the discretion of the Speaker may direct them back to committees for further inquiry and investigations. There may also be questions which, in the opinion of Mr. Speaker and on the advice of the clerk, may require in-depth investigations and may be sent directly to committees. But I also know that question time is the sweetest time for members of parliament in the plenary. So every member who files a question, I'll give you your day. If it's inadequately answered, I'll send you to prosecute it in the committee, as has been done in the past. So I think that would satisfy you for now. Majority Leader, if you will have any additional information when we resume, I'll give you an opportunity to make a statement, because all this will be coming via your office. Next order.
Order number 3, messages. Order number 4, petitions. Order number 5, papers.
Before the majority leader presents the papers, honorable members have been asked by the Honorable Dr. Nyikal to remind you that when you eulogized the doyen of feminist politics in Kenya, the Honorable Grace Onyango, we indicated that you may exercise your generosity at your own discretion, but it is good to do so, to do some form of check-off to support the family. I've been requested to remind you that the funeral of the late is this Saturday, and those of you who would wish to do so, I will direct the whips on both sides to speak to you, and you can sign off whatever you can to support the family. Thank you. Majority Leader.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. And I beg to lay the following papers on the table of the House today, Thursday, March 23rd, 2023. 1, report of the Auditor General and financial statements on forensic audit on procurement and use of heavy fuel oils for the period covered 1st July 2018 to 30th June 2021 by the Kenya Power and Lighting Company, PLC. 2, report on the performance of the special groups, youth, women, and persons with disability from Public Procurement Regulatory Authority. 3, report of the Auditor General on the following financial statements in respect of the institutions listed for the year ended 30th June 2022. Kenya Electricity Expansion Project, OFID, credit number 1487P, Rural Electrification and Renewable Energy Corporation. 2, Power Transmission System Improvement Project, ADF loan, Kenya Electricity Transmission Company Limited. 3, Petroleum Development Levy Fund, Ministry of Petroleum and Mining. 4, Arusha, Holili, Taveta, Voi Road. 5, Merile, Marsabit Road Rehabilitation Project, KE/001/09, loan agreement number KE-FED 2009-021-655, Kenya National Highways Authority. F is Study and Capacity Building Fund Project, grant numbers CKE 601501K, CKE 104301F, and CKE 104701K, the National Treasury. G, upgrading of Gilgil Machinery Road Project, Kenya Rural Roads Authority. H, multinational Kenya section of interconnection project of electricity grids of Nile, Equatorial Lakes countries, ADF loan, Kenya Electricity Transmission Company Limited. I, Eastern Electricity Highway Project, IDA credit number 5148-KE, AFD loan number CKE 103001B, and ADF loan Kenya Electricity Transmission Company Limited. J. Bogoria Silali Geothermal Project, Geothermal Development Company. K. Kenya Off-Grid Solar Access Project for underserved counties, IDA credit number 6135-KE, Ministry of Energy. I. National Treasury Capacity Strengthening Project ID number PKE K00-00011, the National Treasury. M. National Agricultural and Rural Inclusive Growth Project, IDA credit number 5900-KE, State Department for Crop Development and Agricultural Research. And Small Scale Irrigation and Value Addition Project, ADF loan, State Department for Crop Development and Agricultural Research. O. Kenya Marine Fisheries and Socio-Economic Development Project, IDA credit number 65400-KE, State Department for Fisheries, Aquaculture and the Blue Economy. P. Kenya Youth Employment Opportunities Project, credit number 58120-KE, State Department for Labor. Q. Kenya Youth Employment Opportunities Project, IDA credit number 5812-KE, National Industrial Training Authority. R. 220 kV and 132 kV transmission lines and substations, Exim Bank of India funded projects, Kenya Electricity Transmission Company Limited. S is a capacity development project for enhancement of rice production in irrigation schemes in Kenya under the State Department of Crop Development and Agricultural Research. T, Kenya Vision 2030 Delivery Secretariat. U, Judicial Performance Improvement Project, IDA credit number 5181-KE, the Judiciary. Next is Youth Empowerment Program Grant, credit number B4210, State Department for Youth Affairs. Strengthening Fertilizer Quality and Regulatory Standards in Kenya Project, Agro Grant number 2013, SHP 001, State Department of Crop Development and Agricultural Research. And next is the Kenya Citizens and Foreign Nationals Management Service. Second last is the Kenya Development Solar Power Plant in Garissa Project, GCL number 201510, Rural Electrification and Renewable Energy Corporation. And finally, the Regional Pastoral Livelihood Resilience Project, IDA credit number 53880-KE, under the State Department for Livestock. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you, Chairman. Majority Leader, Chairperson, Departmental Committee on Transport and Infrastructure.
Honorable Speaker, I beg to lay the following paper on the table of the House today, Thursday, 23rd March 2023. Report of the Departmental Committee on Transport and Infrastructure on its consideration of the National Transport and Safety Authority Amendment Bill number 43 of 2022. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Chairperson, Departmental Committee on Labor, Karemba.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I beg to lay the following paper on the table of the House today, Thursday, 23rd March 2023. Report of the Departmental Committee on Labor on the inquiry regarding sexual harassment of female workers in tea estates in Kericho County. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you. Before we go to the next order, honorable members, allow me to welcome in the public gallery Acacia Green Primary School from Kabete in Kiambu. On your behalf and on my own behalf, I welcome the school to the House of Parliament. Next order.
Order number 6, notices of motion.
Honorable Karemba Njiru, Chair, Departmental Committee on Labor.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I wish to give a notice of motion. Honorable Speaker, I beg to give notice of the following motion.
I wish to give notice of the following motion.
That this House adopts the reports of the Departmental Committee on the inquiry regarding sexual harassment of female workers in tea estates in Kericho County, laid on the table of the House on Thursday, 23rd March 2023. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you, Chairman. Next order.
Order number 7, questions and statements.
Question number 18, member for Machakos County, Joyce Kamene.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. In pursuant to the provision of Standing Order 42A, 5, I wish to ask the following question, 018/2023, to the Cabinet Secretary of Roads and Transport. What measures has the ministry put in place to provide for pedestrian footbridges along an approximately 2-kilometer stretch of Mombasa Road, especially the crossing at Hilton Garden Inn and the Syokimau Railway Station / Nairobi SGR terminus, and the stretch between Kappa Industries and the Mastermind? Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you. Honorable members, you will note that questions being asked today are the first batch that will be transmitted to Cabinet Secretaries to answer when we resume after the short recess. Question 069, member for Elgeyo Marakwet, Honorable Caroline Ngeleche.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise to ask the question number 069 of 2023 to Cabinet Secretary for Environment, Climate Change and Forestry. Could the Cabinet Secretary, 1, explain the rationale behind the ban on maize cultivation in plantation establishment and livelihood improvement scheme, popularly known as PELIS areas? Number 2, explain why there is a massive decrease in forest cover percentage in Elgeyo Marakwet County despite the ban on maize cultivation under the PELIS system. 3, explain the pros and cons of maize cultivation under the PELIS system and clarify whether the area residents can revert to the initial maize cultivation in PELIS areas. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you, Honorable Member. Your question will be answered after recess by the Minister for Environment, Forestry and Mining. I thought mining majority leader is with Blue Economy. Is it with Environment and Forestry? Is with the majority leader? Is mining with Blue Economy or with forests? With forests. Okay. I thought. Question 070, member for Lunga Lunga, Chief Foromondo Mangale.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Pursuant to the provision of Standing Order number 42A, 5, I rise to ask question number 070 of 2023. Could the Cabinet Secretary expound on the status of approval of payment of hardship allowance to teachers and public servants in Lunga Lunga sub-county, given the extreme working condition in the area? Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you. That will go to the Minister of Labor. Question 071, member for Kaiti, Joshua Kimilu.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for giving me this opportunity to ask question 071-2023. Mr. Speaker, considering that the government of Kenya is the largest shareholder in Safaricom, could the Cabinet Secretary explain why the company has not been paying residues to its dealers according to the contractual terms, as it is the case for non-payment of dues for the period from January 2023 to date? 2, What steps is the government taking to ensure that Safaricom provides its employees with a conducive working environment that is compliant with fair labor practices, including checking on sudden changes of working station without adequate notice, which is disruptive? Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Kimilu. The question will be answered by the Minister for Communication, Information and Innovation. Question 072, Member Forongo, Paul Abor. Member Forongo, Paul Abor. Question dropped. Next question, question 073, Member for Teso South, Mary Emase. Mary Emase, no information about her presence. Question dropped. Question 074, Member for Gilgil, Mother Wangari.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise to ask the question number 74 to the Cabinet Secretary for Interior and Coordination of National Government. Number one, could the Cabinet Secretary explain why there is a shortage of birth registration materials, also known as B1 forms, in health facilities across the country? Number two, could the Cabinet Secretary explain why mothers in public hospitals, especially those on the national government Linda Mama program, are being subjected to unnecessary detention after discharge as a result of unregistered births of their babies due to the above-mentioned shortage, yet it is the duty of the government to provide the B1 forms? And number three, what steps has the ministry taken to ameliorate the situation and ensure that mothers who are due for discharge are not forced to incur additional bills due to unjust detention in hospitals owing to the government's incapacity to promptly register births as a result of lack of birth registration forms? Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Honorable Wangari. Sorry, Honorable Members, the clerk informs me the Honorable Member Forongo had actually sent an apology that he is unable to attend the House today. So the Chair rescinds the dropping of his question and schedules it to the first sitting day when we resume. Next question, question 075, Member for Kabuchai, Majimbo Kalasinga.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, could the Commission explain why the payments to presiding officers, deputy presiding officers, and clerks that oversaw the Bungoma by-election for the senatorial seat in December 2022, Mr. Speaker, have been laid up to date? What plans does the Commission have to compensate these presiding officers, deputy presiding officers, and clerks, Mr. Speaker, whose payments are long overdue, given the high cost of living, Mr. Speaker? Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you. Your question will be forwarded to the Jailer Committee for answering. Honorable members, that's the end of question time. Next order. There is none. Oh, the normal Thursday statement by the majority leader. You've not put on the order paper.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Pursuant to Standing Order 44-2A, to give the following statement on behalf of the House Business Committee, which met on Tuesday, 21st March 2023, to prioritize the business for consideration during the week. Honorable Speaker, allow me to commend the leadership of the House on both sides and members for the dedication and cooperation exhibited in the session so far. Indeed, we have certainly set a good pace and met the statutory timelines in respect of all matters that were before the House in this first part of this session. That includes the budget policy statement and the debt management strategy paper approval. We are now due for a short break commencing after today's session, going by our calendar of regular sittings. Honorable Speaker, members will recall that on Tuesday, this House resolved to alter its calendar for the second session, regular sessions, by varying the period for the short recess so that it commences tomorrow, Friday, 24th March 2023, and ends on Monday, 10th April 2023, which is Easter Monday. The break will therefore be 2 weeks instead of 1 week. The House is scheduled to resume its regular sittings on Tuesday, 11th April 2023 at 2:30 p.m. to continue with the first part of the session. Honorable Speaker, the House still awaits reports on various items of business. This period gives committees ample time to expedite their pending business and finalize their reports on bills, treaties, approval hearings, inquiries, and responses to statements, which will be brought to the House upon resumption. Honorable Speaker, upon resumption, the House will continue with debate on the reports of the 144th and 145th Assemblies of the Interparliamentary Union, the general debate on proposals to amend the Constitution and the standing orders, and the Statute Law Miscellaneous Amendments Bill 2022, should they not be concluded today. Further, the House is also expected to begin debate on the ratification of the African Union Treaty for the establishment of the African Medicines Agency, AMA, and ratification of the agreement between Kenya and the United Kingdom of Great Britain and Northern Ireland on defense cooperation. The House Business Committee shall reconvene on Tuesday, 11th April 2023 to schedule the business for the rest of the week. Honorable Speaker, in conclusion, I want to wish all our Muslim brothers and sisters in the House Ramadan Mubarak as we begin observance of the holy month of Ramadan today, and indeed to all our Muslim brothers around the country. I also note that the Easter holiday falls during the recess period. Therefore, on behalf of the House Business Committee, and indeed the great people of Kikuyu constituency, myself, I wish members a happy Easter and a restful recess period as they spend time with their families and also discharge their constituency obligations. Besides, Honorable Speaker, noting that these 2 weeks will be a working recess for the committees to complete on the work that they will otherwise not be able to do during normal regular sittings. I now wish to lay this statement on the table of the House, Honorable Speaker. And as I said, wish all members a happy Easter and Ramadan Mubarak for our Muslim brothers and sisters, and remind members, Honorable Speaker, that this 2 weeks recess is a short working recess for us to be able to complete on many of the reports that committees will not be able to conclude when there are regular sittings. And when we resume after the short recess of 2 weeks, immediately after Easter, we'll expect that the annual estimates will be coming towards the end of that month, and therefore the House will be very busy. So also take your time to engage with your constituents and your families during this short recess, even as you take time in your committees, spend a little more time with your families, because the session after will be very busy. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you, Majority Leader. Next order.
Order number 8, procedural motion, extension of period of consideration of a legislative proposal to amend the Constitution.
Yes, Majority Leader.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I rise on standing order number 85 on anticipating debates. And Honorable Speaker, no, we are a house of procedures and rules. Honorable Speaker, there are two rather minor issues that I have noted that are good to appraise members on, just for the good of housekeeping. One, Honorable Speaker, is on anticipation of debate, because I did note yesterday, as much as I am here to get the bill on the privatization bill, I did notice the leader of minority and a number of members addressing media within the precincts of Parliament on a bill that has only been reported in the media to have been sent to the National Assembly. Honorable Speaker, maybe it would be good to guide all our members, because some of these small things may mislead our new members that it is right and okay to anticipate debate of bills that are before the House or those that are scheduled. In fact, any bill that is gazetted, if you read the standing order, Honorable Speaker, it says it shall be out of order to anticipate the debate of a bill which has been published as such in the Gazette by discussion upon a substantive motion or an amendment, or by raising the subject matter of the bill upon a motion for the adjournment of the House. Honorable Speaker, maybe just for guidance, to guide, and I know the leader of minority who is not here, but the leader of minority emeritus, the Honorable John Buddy, is sitting here. Maybe he could guide the leader of minority and members within their coalition. As much as they may be very eager to incite members of the public and the country on what is bound to come before the House, it is only right that as members of parliament, since we have the opportunity to interrogate whatever proposals come to us from the executive in form of a bill, we have the opportunity on this floor to challenge what has, or support, or challenge, or oppose, and even decide on what to do with whatever proposal comes to the House. And therefore, found it quite out of order, Honorable Speaker, that it is the House leadership that is now leading other members to anticipate debate of bills that are already published. Two, Honorable Speaker, because that bill was only reported in the media to have been approved by the Cabinet, and that is under the assumption that it is already gazetted. Two, Honorable Speaker, I have noticed, because of the constraint with our committee rooms, and that's why I said it is good for committees to make use of this short recess to schedule their meetings even at a time when the House would otherwise be sitting, so that they utilize rooms within the precincts of Parliament. But, Honorable Speaker, is also worth noting that when a committee sits outside the precincts of Parliament, that committee room becomes an extension of either our committee rooms within the precincts of Parliament or even this chamber. And I have noticed, Honorable Speaker, as I said, minor things like the mode of dressing that members appear before those committees, and especially in committees where they have invited witnesses and other people from outside Parliament. And I've noticed especially, I will not name which particular committee, but members appearing in committees, some chairing those committees without their jackets, and some even rolling up their sleeves. And, Honorable Speaker, I think we need to restore the dignity of committees, whether they sit within the precincts of Parliament or outside. I therefore beg that you also do advise all our chairs and our vice chairs or any other member who may be designated by the chair or the vice chair to chair a committee on their behalf. Whether you are sitting in a hotel around town or in one of the other government institutions where parliamentary committees are accommodated, we should carry out ourselves with the dignity that we do when we appear in plenary and also in committees, including the mode of dressing, Honorable Speaker. I've seen some also removing their shoes in those well-carpeted rooms, Honorable Speaker. And because we have a number of many new members and young ones, and I know the weather has not been very kind, but that is why Parliament spends money to ensure that you sit in committee rooms that are very well ventilated and air-conditioned. Therefore, don't get tempted to remove your jacket or to roll up your sleeves, or at times even to remove your shoes. I don't know for what reason, Honorable Speaker. Thank you.
Yes, Honorable Bundy. Honorable John Buddy.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. For clarity, I'm not speaking for the minority leader, but I'm speaking as a senior member of the minority side. But, Mr. Speaker, I wanted just to make some quick comments on the point of order raised by majority leader. On the second one, in terms of mode of dressing, I agree entirely, Mr. Speaker, because our committees are extension of Parliament or plenary, and we must just dress appropriately. I think there is already a communication to that effect from the Speaker, and I think there is nothing really new, Mr. Speaker. For example, in my committee, which I chair, no one comes who is not dressed formally. I don't allow any member to sit in Public Accounts Committee when we are transacting business, even whether it is in-house, without dressing appropriately. You must be in a tie, you must be in a suit. except to Tiende Amolo, who dresses in a manner that the Speaker allowed, but I'm not very comfortable with. But since the Speaker had allowed it in the chamber, I also allow it in the committee. But, Mr. Speaker, and Didmas Barasa. But, Mr. Speaker, on the first point of order that Honorable Kimani Chungwa raised as a majority leader regarding anticipating debates under Standing Order 85. Mr. Speaker, this is one of those provisions in our standing orders that have been there for, let me call it, donkey years. I'm sure, Mr. Speaker, you have been in this House longer than many of us, if not all of us, and it has been there. And really, it talks about published bills. I am not aware that there is any bill on privatization which has been published. I guess the comments that came from those political leaders came as a result of what was reported to have come out of cabinet sitting. And so we expect Kenyans to comment when there is a report coming from cabinet meeting. This is our cabinet. And I would say, as a matter of fact, that the people of Kenya have to hold their cabinet accountable. So anything that comes from the cabinet must be questioned, must be criticized if there is need to criticize it. But finally, Mr. Speaker, I think we also need to look at this standing order properly. It has not been amended, but I think it is high time it is amended. The reason why I say so, it is contradicting our constitution, which allows public engagement with legislative agenda before the House. We need public participation. There is no way I would engage in public participation without talking about the bill with the public. So I think these were some of the provisions in our standing orders which have been there before the constitutional amendment of 2010 or the repeal of our constitution. These are some of the things that we need to change. Look at other jurisdictions. They discuss legislative agenda which is before the House everywhere. We are called to the media houses, Mr. Speaker. Today, if budget is brought here, appropriation bill is brought here, I will be invited by Citizen Media, Radio, TV. I would go to the NTV to discuss it as an expert in matters finance, and I'm a member of this House. How do I behave? Will I be accused of anticipating debate? So I think, Mr. Speaker, our committee, which deals with proposed amendments to our standing orders, may need to look at that particular standing order and probably find it to be behind our times and amend it so that we are allowed, whether you're a member of parliament, a public, a fisherman along the shores of Lake Victoria, you need to discuss legislative agenda before the House. And I'm sure Honorable Chepkonga agrees with me on this, as a renowned lawyer in this country, that there is no way we can engage in discussing legislative agenda with the public without discussing it. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you. Chepkonga, Honorable Chepkonga.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable John Badi has spoken very well, and he has in fact admitted that all the comments that he has made is made as a layman, not as a lawyer, commenting on the standing orders. The only exception, Mr. Speaker, is that he's a lawmaker. He cannot appear to say that the standing order that has been referred by the majority leader is not applicable. Neither is it outdated. The standing orders have been amended from time to time. But, Mr. Speaker, I want to agree with the majority leader that, in fact, when I've been seeing comments people have been making in the press outside Parliament here, and I've just been asking myself, where is this bill which has not been given to us? Mr. Speaker, I think it is important that when you are a member of Parliament, do not anticipate debate. You have your time to come and debate over that bill. In fact, a bill is just a bill, Mr. Speaker. That's what it means in plain English. It does not mean it is the law. So you don't even demonstrate against a bill. Because once it comes to this House, we can even reject it. Mr. Speaker, I have been tabling here regulations that have been published. In fact, some ministries have been using them. But we have annulled them in their entirety, Mr. Speaker. So there is nothing this House cannot do, particularly with a bill, Mr. Speaker. Something that has just been published, it is an intention of the government that that bill be passed. But it is incumbent upon us as members of parliament to decide. Mr. Speaker, on the second limb, on the dressing, Mr. Speaker, I know that all committees, and particularly the chairs, are an extension of the Speaker. Yes. So I think it is important and pertinent for the chairs to rule when a member has come in a manner that is not properly dressed. Just like when we go to court, Mr. Speaker, if you are not well robed, you will be thrown out. And Mr. Speaker, we expect chairs to throw out members who are not properly dressed, particularly those who come sometimes with open shoes. They come with their shirts and their ties, and they are open up to the chest here. Mr. Speaker, those ones should be thrown out to go and dress properly. So we expect chairs to administer the standing orders of the House. I thank you, Chair.
Thank you, honorable members. Honorable members, as Honorable Chepkonga has rightly said, buttressing what the majority and Honorable Badi said, committees, wherever you sit, even if you are sitting on the moon, you are an extension of this chamber. Rules of etiquette, dress code, and all conduct expected of you under the standing orders extend to the committees. And the chairman of committees, you have a duty to ensure observance of the rules of etiquette, dress code, and the conduct of members and the witnesses who appear before your committees. Of course, the chair will only get to know when you bring to our attention that a certain chairman is lax and is not observing the etiquette expected of the conduct in a committee, in which case then the chair will take the necessary steps to correct the situation. Next order.
Order number 8, procedural motion, extension of a period of consideration of a legislative proposal to amend the Constitution.
The chairperson joined Parliamentary Ad Hoc Committee on proposal to amend the Constitution to entrench certain specialized funds.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I am the chair. It's only not indicated in the order paper. The Honorable Speaker, I wish to move the following motion: that in furtherance to the resolution of the House of the 24th of November 2022 on the establishment of a joint parliamentary ad hoc committee on a proposal to amend the Constitution to entrench certain specialized funds, namely NGCDF, Senate Oversight Fund, and NGAAF. This House further resolves to extend the timeline for the consideration of the proposals by a period of 90 days from Tuesday, 11 April 2023. That is the day we resume from our recess. Madam Speaker, the import of this motion is to seek to enlarge time within which those particular specialized funds would be considered. We had assumed that we would be able to complete those proposals within the 90 days. Unfortunately, they became a little bit complex because of the process and the negotiations therein. So, Madam Speaker, we are therefore seeking an extension of time by a further 90 days to enable the Joint Ad Hoc Committee, which is a committee composed of the National Assembly and the Senate, to conclude discussions and come up with the relevant constitutional amendment bills to entrench into the Constitution those bills that we think have had some issues, particularly with some Kenyans outside this House. And so, Madam Speaker, I move and seek that members support this, and I would like to request the Honorable Stephen Mule to second. I thank you.
Please
please proceed to second the motion.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. I want to urge members to agree with the chair of the Joint Committee. Madam Speaker, we thought that we'll be able to get this moving and finish the works which is expected of us within the time. But when we met yesterday, we realized that we still need more time, Madam Speaker, to ensure that we do the best of this bill and carry everybody on board to make sure that at least for the first time, Parliament will be able to amend the Constitution without going to referendum. Mr. Speaker, I want to urge members that as we go on recess, we want to make a kind request to all members of single constituency, women reps, to see whether they can meet with the public and make public participation towards this amendment to the Constitution and give us a report once they come back from recess to enable us to shorten the time and move forward. Because you know very well, Madam Speaker, when the bill will be read the first time, for us to go to second reading, we still need 90 days. And I believe if we work together as a team and each constituency does public participation regarding this together with their CDF chairman, we'll be able to have close the door of public participation in a shorter time than we expect, Madam Speaker. So I want to urge members, those who are in the chamber and those who are outside the chamber, as you go on recess, you kindly request if you can make that provision to do public participation and give us a report as we come back after recess, and we'll be able to move this forward to finalize the amendment of this Constitution. I support.
Your second?
I second, Madam Speaker.
Thank you very much, Honorable Mule. Honorable members, I therefore propose the question that in furtherance to the resolution of the House of the 24th November 2022 on the establishment of a joint parliamentary ad hoc committee on proposal to amend the Constitution to entrench certain specified funds, NGCDF, Senate Oversight Fund, and GAV. This House further resolves to extend the timeline for the consideration of the proposal by a period of 90 days from Tuesday, 11th April 2023. Honorable members, it is the mood of the House. Is it the mood of the House that I go ahead and put the question? Honorable members, I see some interest on this subject, and I would like to give a few opportunities. This is a very important subject, so I would like to give an opportunity to a few members to make comments. Honorable members, those who have interest to contribute on this, please press your intervention button. I will give the first opportunity to the Minority Whip, the Honorable Owen Bayer. Majority. I would like to take that again. It is extremely important. That mistake cannot be made, especially from this seat. The first opportunity goes to the Majority Whip, the Honorable Owen Bayer. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. I would like to support this motion on the procedural motion. Yeah. That it's important that we still take our time as a House.
The Honorable Owen Bayer, yeah.
Correct.
Is the Deputy Majority Leader.
Yes.
In the National Assembly.
Thank you.
You may proceed.
Okay. So, Madam Speaker, it's important that we continue to gather information on this motion so that we involve everybody, do a lot of public participation, so that as we come to this chamber, we are able to say what Kenyans have said. I think one of the fundamental principles of this Constitution is that public participation is core at everything that we do. So, Madam Speaker, I would like to support this and urge other members to support so that we give more time before we come for the debate. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Very well, Honorable Bayer. Honorable members, the next opportunity goes to the Honorable John Buddy, nominated member.
Yeah, Madam Speaker, I also want to support the request by this joint committee to extend time, to allow them more time to look at this matter. Madam Speaker, constitutional amendment is a weighty issue, and this is probably going to be the first successful constitutional amendment in this country from 2010, when we enacted the present constitution. And therefore, we need to get it right. And the funds that we need to entrench in the constitution are very important funds for this country. The National Affirmative Action Fund, National Government Affirmative Action Fund, and the National Government Constituency Development Fund are two important funds that have made a difference in the lives of Kenyans, and we need, when we are entrenching it, we need to make sure that there is no loophole. And so this committee needs more time to tighten and bring a comprehensive constitutional amendment touching on these funds to this House. And therefore, I agree, Madam Speaker, that they need more time. And this time, please make sure that the 90 days is sufficient for you as a committee, because, again, the longer we take in entrenching these funds, the more we expose these funds to possible court action, which may be at the detriment of the people of Kenya. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you very much, the Honorable Bandi. The Honorable Joseph Emathe, member for Turkana Central.
Madam Speaker, I want to submit that as much as we'll need to support the motion as moved, and I want to thank you too for allowing us to ventilate on this motion. One, as a first-time MP, a first-time member in this House, it is very, very discouraging, I will say, that the manner in which CDF is performing, the NGCDF is performing, is not pleasing at all, Madam Speaker. And even NGAF, as at now, we are at 31% having received out of the allocation that we are required to receive. We are now in Q3, Q4. We are only remaining with 3 months to the completion of the financial year. We may understand there are issues there and there, but I thought even 50% disbursement will help us. And I've just heard the motion mover saying that we go and do public participation during the recess period. The question is, from which coffers are we going to do public participation? Do we have funds in our bank accounts to do public participation? Yes, the 90 days period that has been granted is okay for the lawmaking process to take place as it is required, but it is important for us to discuss why are we stalling in disbursement of funds? And if so, what could be the problem? Even as we discuss about these funds to constituencies. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you very much. The Honorable Geoffrey Ruku, member for Mbeere North.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. The National Government Constituency Development Fund is an extremely important fund which has implemented quite a number of projects, especially in education and in security, Madam Speaker, and also in supporting young people in terms of talent development. When it comes to constitutional amendment to ensure this fund is well guarded and entrenched in the sovereign law of this country, it is important for the the committee or the liaison committee which is considering these amendments to also ensure that it's not only anchoring it in the Constitution, but also to increase the allocation so that the impact of this fund can be felt across this country, and most probably we can also increase the areas where the national government CDF fund can implement projects in. We know the problems we are having in this country as far as water is concerned. Also, as far as irrigation projects is concerned, we can only change the rise of this country if we work on education, we work on water, we work on security, and also on the health sector. So it is important to increase the allocation in this fund, Mr. Speaker, Madam Speaker, and the 90 days given to this liaison committee, joint ad hoc committee, I think they are important for this House to have a holistic entrenchment of this fund in our Constitution. Madam Speaker, I support this extension of period. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Member for Mbere. The Honorable Catherine Omanyo, Member for Busia County.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Supporting, but I think it is not to do things haphazardly or in a hurry, because many times we have got ourselves in a quagmire because somebody somewhere pushed for something to go through and they never looked into the future generations to come. So the committee should be given ample time to come up with something tangible that will hold waters for a long time, even way after we are dead and gone. So anytime we mention NGCDF, we should be mentioning GAF at the same time, because it goes in tandem. Thank you.
Very well, Honorable Member. I see a point of order by the Honorable Rebecca Tonkey, Member for Narok.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, standing order number 95, considering the mood of the House, would I be in order to request you, Madam Speaker, to let the mover of the motion to reply? Thank you.
Thank you very much. Honorable members, I would like to establish that whether it is the mood of the House, that I call upon the mover to reply. So I put the question, will as many as of that opinion say aye? Will as many as of the contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it. So then I call upon the mover to reply.
Madam Speaker, I reply.
Thank you very much. Honorable members, I therefore put the question that in furtherance of the resolutions of the House of 24th November 2022 on the establishment of a joint parliamentary ad hoc committee on a proposal to amend the Constitution to entrench certain specialized funds, NGCDF, Senate Oversight Fund, and NGAF. This House therefore resolves to extend the timelines of the consideration of the proposal by a period of 90 days from Tuesday, 11th April 2022. Will as many as of that opinion say aye? Will as many as of the contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it. Next order.
Order number 9, procedural motion, extension of period of consideration of a nominee for appointment to a public office.
Chairperson. Chairperson.
Honorable Speaker, I rise to move a motion that pursuant to the provision of Section 13 of the Public Appointment Parliamentary Approval Act of 2021 relating to the extension of period of consideration of nominees for appointment to a public office this House resolved to extend the period for consideration of the nominee submitted by His Excellency the President for appointment as a member of the National Gender and Equality Commission by a period of 10 days from 5th of April, for 10 days from 5th of April 2023. Honorable Speaker, the reason as to why is that the House will be on a recess, and even as a matter of, even if we have finished vetting, we cannot be able to table the report because the House will be on a recess, and that's why we have asked for an extension of time. I'll call upon Honorable Kawanjiko from Kiambaa constituency to second the motion. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you, Member for Kiambaa.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Considering that we are going on recess, I think it's also paramount for us to be considerate of time, and I therefore second the motion. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Member for Kiambaa. Honorable members, I propose the question that pursuant to provisions of Section 13 of the Public Appointments Parliamentary Approval Act 2011 relating to extension of period of consideration of nominee for appointment to a public office, this House resolves to extend the period for consideration of the nominee submitted by His Excellency the President for appointment as member of the National Gender and Equality Commission by a period of 10 days from 5th April 2023. Honorable members, is it the mood of the House that I put the question? Honorable members, I therefore put the question that pursuant to provisions of Article 13 of Public Appointments Parliamentary Approval Act 2011 relating to extension of period of consideration of nominee for appointment to a public office. This House resolves to extend the period of consideration of the nominee submitted by His Excellency the President for appointment as member of the National Gender and Equality Commission by a period of 10 days from the 5th of April 2023. Will as many as of that opinion say aye? Will as many as of the contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it. Next order.
Order number 10, motion, approval of nominees to 2 National Government Constituency Development Fund committees.
Chairperson, please proceed.
Madam Speaker, I beg to move that this House adopts the report of the National Government Constituency Development Fund on 2 constituencies committee laid on the table of the House on Tuesday, 21st March, and pursuant to the provisions of Section 43(4) of the National Government Constituency Development Fund Act 2015 and paragraph 5(2) and 10, 5(2) and 10 of the National Government Constituency Development Fund Regulations 2016 approves the list of the nominees for appointment to the following 2 constituency committees of the National Government Constituency Development Fund. 1, Samburu East Constituency, and the names are as in the order paper. Then Kandara Constituency, which is also the names are on the order paper. Madam Speaker, I want to thank the members who have these are the last 2 constituencies which we are moving and passing because they have brought their names, and we are ready. And we want to ask them to do their good work in their various constituencies because it is their responsibilities with the committee which is there.
The Honorable Majority Leader, what is out of order?
Honorable Speaker, thank you. I'm sorry to interrupt the chair of the NGCDF committee who is doing a very good job. But Honorable Speaker, when I look around the House, I do not see the members for Samburu East, and I also do not see the member for Kandara constituency. Honorable Speaker, from the 11th and 12th Parliament, at least the 2 houses have been, it has been a tradition that when we are approving these names of constituency CDF committee members, the member of the particular constituency be in the house before we approve the names that relate to their constituency, because they are the ones who are involved in the public participation and the approval process right at the sub-county level of these names. Therefore, request, Honorable Speaker, that we drop this particular motion until such a time that the two members will be present in the House. And also, Honorable Speaker, because we cannot be slaving for people to pass their names and they are not even in the House. And you know, we are all sent here by the people of our constituencies to represent them. Therefore, if the member for Kikuyu is not in the House, the business of the people of Kikuyu should pause until the member of Kikuyu comes back. Therefore, I wish to request you, Honorable Speaker, to indulge me and we drop this motion until such a time that the two members shall be in the House. And if you notice, Honorable Speaker, the member for Samburu East is actually a replacement. Therefore, it would be dangerous to even be replacing a member when the member is not there to appraise the House of why there is a replacement. The member for Kandara to tell us whether these are the people who are actually elected and nominated at the sub-county level, and therefore beg that we drop this particular motion until such a time when the two members are in the House. And it also encourages members, Honorable Speaker, to be present in the business of the House. If we get into the custom of approving things that relate to a member and the member is not in the House, then no member has any business being in the House. Unlike Professor Nyikal, who is always in the House, or the member for Homa Bay constituency, or the Honorable Udo and Honorable Agnes Pareyo, who are always in the House, the member for Kajiado Central, and of course the member for Kikuyu and the member for and member for Thika and member for the Honorable Tandaza, and the member for county member for Busia. Honorable Speaker, because it is good, you know, when you are here, Honorable Speaker, you are also being accountable to your constituents. And when you are serving in a risky position like mine, it is also good to be seen, to be here, and to be heard. You know, Honorable Speaker, on Tuesday, I was here the whole day up to the time the House rose in the evening. And Honorable Speaker, I have this afternoon seen Mr. Raila Odinga purporting that I was in a meeting somewhere with the Deputy President and the member for Kiharu. And you know, it is allowed to have hallucinations at some age, Honorable Speaker, but please don't hallucinate with me. And I want to request the former Prime Minister, as much as he may have hallucinations, please don't hallucinate with me. I was in the House up to the time the House rose. When I went home, my 3-year-old daughter, who sleeps late like me, Honorable Speaker, we slept around the same time. Actually, I dozed off holding on to my 3-year-old daughter, Honorable Speaker. Point. And I will send Mr. Odinga and the people he was with at that press conference to my 3-year-old daughter to just inform him where I was on that particular Tuesday and seize the hallucinations.
Honorable members, there are so many points of order, but there is a very important matter that has been raised by the majority leader on this subject. Well, the Honorable Nyikal on my left and...
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, Madam Speaker. First of all, my point of order is...
What is out of order, first of all?
What out of order, Madam Speaker, is mentioning people's names who are not in the House, and in a negative way. And yesterday, your counterpart, Mr. Speaker, Honorable Farah, said that is out of order. I think he mentioned Order 87. You can exactly say what they did, but you cannot go on to say somebody is having hallucinations, because that's not a fact. You can say he said this, he said that, but you can't proceed to make those. So I think, Madam Speaker, I respect the member very much, the leader of a majority, but we must remember that we have leaders and people respect their leaders. And when you mention leaders negatively, you raise unnecessary tension in the House, and therefore you defeat the purpose of the debate. So with that, I'm still asking, he is out of order, and actually he should withdraw that statement. But what he has raised, I support and is important, but he is out of order in the contribution he made.
Very well, Honorable Member for Seme. Honorable members, I would like you to desist from mentioning individuals negatively in your debate. Majority Leader, I would like to give you a chance to clarify on that matter, and if you did not mean it, then you may wish to withdraw, especially on the part of hallucinations.
You know, Honorable Speaker, and the Honorable Nyekal knows, because he has been in government, Standing Order 87.3 says that shall be out of order to use offensive or insulting language, whether in respect of members of the House or other persons. It doesn't even say other persons who are not in the House. It is any other person. And that's why, Honorable Speaker, I am very cautious what I say and how I say it. And I said it is normal at a certain age to have hallucinations. Therefore, if it is normal, and the Honorable Dr. Nyekal is a medical doctor of repute, he knows it is actually proven medically that it is normal to have hallucinations at a certain age. And therefore, if somebody out there has hallucinations about me being present somewhere that I am not, or organizing things that I may have not organized, Honorable Speaker, and for instance, I could not say that Honorable Nyekal has, I could expressly state that Honorable Nyekal has hallucinations. But if I say someone of the age of the Honorable Nyekal is likely to have hallucinations, those are two different issues, Honorable Speaker. And that is all I stated, Honorable Speaker.
The honorable members, if you say point of order, and I cannot see your name on the intervention. The Honorable Kaluma, member for Oma Bay Town.
Yeah, I thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, you know, when you make a ruling as the Speaker, we should be led in respecting it, beginning by the Majority Leader. And I think our good friend, the Majority Leader, is forgetting himself at times. But Majority Leader, you are the leader of this entire House. And by the way, you are the 4th in government ranking. So when a side of the House requests you show respect, whether you hate our leadership to whatever extent. In fact, I think you are the one of us who are hallucinating over Raila and Uhuru. Withdraw it so that with dignity, Parliament can transact business. Because when you do so, we go into relevant things and we distract the House's business. I would request, Honorable Speaker, that when you make a ruling like that, there is either an unequivocal apology or a withdrawal, so that we move as a unit under the leadership of the Majority Leader in the House.
Honorable members, I do not wish to continue with these points of order because we will not be able to transact the business that we are transacting. And I would like to request you, honorable members, to be led by our standing orders, number 87.3. It shall be out of order to use offensive or insulting language, whether in respect of members of the House or other persons. Honorable members, the guidance that I would like to give you is that let us proceed without using offensive and insulting language, because we are not going to transact business that has brought us to this honorable August House. Honorable members, allow me now to go back to the matter that was raised by the Majority Leader concerning the procedural motion, number 9, on extension of motion of consideration. Honorable members, I withdraw that and raise that it is odd motion number 10 on approval of nominees to 2 National Government Constituency Development Fund Committees. Honorable members, I know that you really want to contribute to this but I would like to guide this way, that indeed it has been practiced. We have perused documents, and it has been practiced that the constituencies, especially when it concerns members of NGCDF, cannot be discussed when members of those particular constituencies are not in the House. So, honorable members, I order that that business is dropped. It will be scheduled again by the House Business Committee. Let's proceed. Next order.
Order number 11, motion. Reports of the 144th and 145th Assemblies of the Interparliamentary Union, IPU.
Thank you very much. Honorable Tonke, you may proceed.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, Honorable Speaker, I beg to move that this House notes the reports of the 144th and 145 Assemblies of the Interparliamentary Union laid on the table of the House on Tuesday, 7th March 2023, and Thursday, 2nd March 2023, respectively. Honorable Speaker, the 144th Assembly of the Interparliamentary Union, IPU, took place from 20th to 24th March 2022 at the Bali International Convention Center in Nusa Dua, Indonesia. The theme of the general debate at the 144th Assembly was getting to zero, mobilizing parliaments to act on climate change. Honorable Speaker, the IPU is domiciled in the Senate, and the Kenyan delegation to the 144th Assembly meeting comprised of the following. The Right Honorable Senator Kenneth M. Lusaka, EGH MP, the Speaker of the Senate and leader of the delegation then. Senator Susan Kihika, MP, who is now the Governor Nakuru, a delegate, immediate former president of IPU Forum of the Women Parliamentarians. Honorable Sophia Abdi Nur, MP, President IPU Standing Committee on UN Affairs. Honorable Professor Jacqueline Oduol, MP, President IPU High Level Advisory Group on Counter-Terrorism and Violent Extremists. Honorable John Waweru Kiarie, MP, Member IPU Committee to Promote Respect for International Humanitarian Law, and is still the President to date. Honorable Speaker, I'd like to highlight that the IPU was founded in 1889 to promote interparliamentary dialogue and diplomacy between nations. Since then, Honorable Speaker, the IPU has become a unique global convening power for parliamentary networking, especially through its assemblies. The Assembly is the IPU's main political body, through which the IPU member parliaments adopt parliamentary resolutions on global issues. It plays a pivotal role in addressing the issues which threaten peace, democracy, and sustainable development, including through its 4 thematic standing committees. At the assemblies, MPs from around the world come together to exchange good practice and build bridges at the parliamentary level. Honorable Speaker, the National Assembly delegation to the Assembly and related meetings played significant roles in their various capacities. Honorable Speaker, in her capacity as the President of the Standing Committee on United Nations Affairs, the Honorable Sophia Abdi Nur, MP, chaired the meetings of the committee and presented its report to the Assembly. The Honorable Professor Jacqueline Oduol, MP, having served as Vice President, was elected President of the IPU High Level Advisory Group on Counterterrorism and Violent Extremism. In this capacity, the Honorable Member chaired meetings of the committee and presented its report to the Assembly. The Honorable Waweru Kiarie, MP, in his capacity as a member of the IPU committee to promote respect for international humanitarian law, chaired meetings of the committee in the absence of the substantive president and had the honor to present his report to the Assembly. Honorable Speaker, in fact, as we stand now, Honorable Kiarie is the president of that committee. He took over in our last IPU at Rwanda. Honorable Speaker, it's noteworthy that during the 144th Assembly, delegations from 101 member parliaments took part. In this regard, 778 delegates who attended the Assembly, 404 were members of parliament, 393 from member parliaments, and 11 from associate member delegations. Those parliamentarians included 30 presiding officers, 28 deputy presiding officers, 154 women MPs, which is 38.1%, and 110 young MPs, which is a representation of 27.2%. The inaugural ceremony was graced by His Excellency Mr. Joko Widodo, the President of the Republic of Indonesia. Others present included Mr. Duarte Pacheco, President of the IPU, and Mr. Martin Jukong, Secretary General of the IPU. With regard to the agenda of the Assembly, Honorable Speaker, in addition to the theme of the general debate that was getting to zero, mobilizing parliaments to act on climate change, the Assembly further considered and approved a request for the inclusion of an emergency item in the agenda. The proposal submitted by delegation of New Zealand, entitled Peaceful Resolution of the War in Ukraine, respecting international law, the Charter of the United Nations, and territorial integrity. Having obtained the required 2/3 majority and the largest number of positive votes cast, was added to the agenda of the Assembly. Madam Speaker, usually when the IPU meet during the Assembly, the agenda, when it's presented, it is adopted and presented as it is. Honorable Speaker, may I inform the House that on 24th March 2022, the Assembly endorsed the Dua Declaration on getting to zero, mobilizing parliaments to act on climate. Furthermore, the 144th IPU Assembly adopted by consensus the resolution on peaceful resolutions of the war in Ukraine, respecting international law, the Charter of the United Nations, and territorial integrity. At the 145th Assembly of the Interparliamentary Union, Honorable Speaker, the Interparliamentary Union took place from 11th to 15th October 2022 at the Kigali International Convention Center in Kigali, Rwanda. The theme of the Assembly was gender equality and gender-sensitive parliaments as drivers of change for a more resilient and peaceful world. We held our elections today as KEOPA, Madam Speaker, and I want to thank the KEOPA members for electing Honorable Leah Sangaire as the chair KEOPA and holding a peaceful elections. This is issues of gender. Madam Speaker, the Kenya delegation to the Assembly comprised the following members: the Right Honorable Amason Kingi, EGH MP, leader of the delegation. Senator Dr. Boni Halwale, CBS, Member of Parliament. Senator Catherine Muma, MP. Honorable John Kiarie, MP. Honorable Ngozi Rai, MP. Yours faithfully, Honorable Rebecca Tongei, MP. Honorable Naisula Lesuda, OGW, MP. And Honorable Paul Abor, MP. Honorable Speaker, the 145 Assembly was attended by delegations from 119 member countries, associate members, observers, and other institutions, and was officially opened by His Excellency Paul Kagame, the President of the Republic of Rwanda. Other dignitaries who graced the inaugural ceremony included Mr. Antonio Guterres, Secretary General of the United Nations, Mr. Duarte Pacheco, President of the IPU, and Mr. Martin Chungkong, Secretary General of the IPU. I wish to inform the House, Honorable Speaker, that on 14th October 2022, the Assembly considered and adopted the Kigali Declaration committing parliaments to be drivers of change for a more resilient and peaceful world, to celebrate the 10th anniversary of the IPU's Plan of Action for Gender-Sensitive Parliaments, and to recommit to advance gender equality in all spheres of society. Honorable Speaker, the 144th and 145th Assemblies of the IPU also considered and adopted the reports of the committees of the Assembly, including the Standing Committee on Peace and International Security, 2, the Standing Committee on Sustainable Development, 3, the Standing Committee on Democracy and Human Rights, 4, the Standing Committee on United Nations Affairs, which I am a member. Honorable Speaker, there is also it's a point of order. Madam Speaker, the Committee to Promote Respect for International Humanitarian Law, number 6, the Forum of Women Parliamentarians, 7, the Forum of Young Parliamentarians. On behalf of the members of the National Assembly delegations to the 144th and 145th Assemblies of the IPU, I beg to move that this House notes the reports of the 144th and 145th Assemblies of the IPU as presented. I thank you, Honorable Speaker, and I might request Honorable Cynthia Munge to second. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Honorable Cynthia Munge, please proceed to second the motion.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I rise to second the motion that the House notes the reports of the Kenya delegation that were held in Indonesia and in Rwanda, the 144th and 145th. Madam Speaker, I want to say that IPU is a great association, an association that gives members of this House an opportunity to be able to benchmark and be able to see what happens in other countries and other parliaments. Honorable Speaker, it is one of the organizations or the unions, Honorable Speaker, or associations, Honorable Speaker, that has given an opportunity to the members of this House who have attended the conferences that have been held since it started in the year that it started, Honorable Speaker. It has diverse issues that it looks at. It gives a global view to many of the issues that we are facing as a nation in Kenya and as Africa as a continent, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I have had an opportunity of attending one of the IPU conferences, Honorable Speaker, and I must say that the number of parliaments that this particular body brings together, Honorable Speaker, is very good, and it brings different kinds of experiences that the parliamentarians have had in their countries, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, this is the only platform that allows the members of parliament to be heard, that allows the members of parliament to be able to air their views and issues, that allows them to be able to speak on the issues that are affecting them while they are discharging their duties in their various parliaments, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, this is an association that has opened my eyes, myself having attended one, on issues on security, Honorable Speaker. It is a platform that you don't get to hear and read about the Ukraine and the Russian war, Honorable Speaker, but you actually hear about the testimonies from the members of those particular parliaments, Honorable Speaker. It is the same association, Honorable Speaker, that brings to light the plight of the honorable members of parliaments in different countries, Honorable Speaker, who have had a rough time dealing with oppositions, who have had a rough time dealing with the governments that is in power, who have been manhandled and mishandled, Honorable Speaker, by their governments for standing for the truth or being the true oversight authority in their parliaments, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, this particular report is an eye-opener to this House. It actually tells this House that the kind of problems that we're going through, Honorable Speaker, are not domesticated in Kenya alone. They're actually happening all over, Honorable Speaker. And not only that, Honorable Speaker, this is a platform that has been used to send a rallying call, Honorable Speaker, to several issues that are of importance, Honorable Speaker, to the people of Kenya and all the nations in the world, Honorable Speaker. Issues of environment, issues of human rights, and many other issues, Honorable Speaker, that have been handled under IPU. So, Honorable Speaker, I want to urge the House to also adopt the report as it has been tabled, because this is a very important report, Honorable Speaker, and is an eye-opener. I also want to encourage members to be able to go through them. It is in these reports that you get to see the kind of issues that other parliamentarians are going through. You can be able to draw strength from there. You can be able to get new experiences in regards to the responsibilities and duties that you have as a member of parliament by reading and by going through the things that other parliamentarians are going through in the world over, Honorable Speaker. So, Honorable Speaker, I support and I second this particular motion that this House adopts the said report, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you very much. You on a point of order, member for Ndara. You may proceed, Honorable Member for Kandara.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I would like to bring back to attention a motion on NGCDF that was deferred because I was still in the chambers, but I wasn't present in here, Madam Speaker.
Member for Kandara.
Yes, sir.
You may take
Madam,
your
sir.
seat.
Thank you, Madam.
Yes, the House Business Committee had scheduled the matter for approval of nominees to NGCDF, and indeed it is true that your constituency is one of those that were scheduled. That is Kandara constituency. The matter was dropped, and I would like to encourage you to make sure that you're in the House. I'm aware that you are engaged in other parliamentary duties, so make sure that you are here next time so that the matter can be transacted in your presence. Thank you. The Honorable Kemei. Before the Honorable Kemei speaks, honorable members, I would like to propose the question that this House notes the reports of Kenya delegation to the 144th and 145th Assemblies of Interparliamentary Union and related meetings held in Nusa Dua, Indonesia, from 20th to 24th March 2022, and in Kigali, Rwanda, from 11th to the 15th of October 2022, laid on the table of the House on Tuesday, 7th of March 2023, and Thursday, 2nd of March 2023, respectively. Thank you, members. I see a point of order by the Honorable Kemei. You may proceed.
Okay, thank you, Madam Speaker. I want to first, before I talk about the point of order of what you've said, and I'm concerned that yesterday there was a point of order, there was a ruling by the Speaker that such a report should be referred to our Committee on Regional Integration. So let that one go in record so that next time we don't discuss before it is referred. I want to believe that one, Madam Speaker, on point of order 212. Thank you, Madam Speaker. And then allow me again to...
Honorable member, you are not allowed to raise 2 points of order.
Okay.
Honorable Kemei, the matter that you have raised, and the one that was raised yesterday, was on OACPS, which is different from the matter that is being discussed now, and it is still in consideration. The substantive speaker will be able to rule on that subject. I desist from making any ruling on that matter. The substantive speaker will do so. The Honorable Wilberforce Oundo, you are also on a point of order. What is out of order, Honorable Member?
Honorable Speaker, I wanted to raise on a point of order, but looking at the faces that in the flow of in the House, especially among the newcomers, the first-timers, let me hold on to my point of order for the next 20 minutes until the rains subside so that we can know what to do. Honorable Speaker, the joy of coming to Parliament is to speak on the floor of the House. Even if you are speaking to the empty seats, it is worth it because it will go on record that we made a contribution on the floor of the House. That's why I never tire to encourage the first-timers, especially the young ones. In whatever condition you are, always take all the time you can to come to the floor of the House when the veterans have left, when the House leadership have left, and you'll have all the time to say all that you want, so that you learn the art of debating, you learn the art of putting across national points of national importance.
Oundo,
thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Have you decided to let the Speaker imagine the point of order that you wanted to raise?
No, I'm not leading the Speaker to imagine anything. I'm just giving further advice to the young parliamentarians. They learn how we do our things. Myself, Dr. Nyikal, we are veterans here, and we know how things go. But for now, Honorable Speaker, I will wait patient for my turn to contribute on the motion, and if there is any need, we'll raise the point of order at the appropriate time. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Okay, so then, Honorable Members, we proceed with debate. The Honorable Florence Jematia, Member for Baringo County. The Honorable Harrison Kombe, Member for Magarini. Honorable Members, I'm just relying on the screen that is here. The Honorable Shakil Shabil, Member for Kisumu East. The Honorable Eric Kahungu, Member for Honorable Members, I would like to say that I have actually lost it on the screen. I think it's a matter that may need some noting. The Honorable Wilberforce Oundo, Member for Funyula.
Honorable Speaker, looking at, again, the faces, probably I'm not a very good reader of the mood of the House. All members being called to contribute do not seem to want to contribute, but allow me to make a few comments so that I leave the rest to proceed from there. Honorable Speaker, International Interparliamentary Union is an important body that allows members of parliament from various parts of the world to assemble and ventilate on many, many issues. I'm encouraged that the theme of the last two meetings has been the issue of climate change. And as we mentioned earlier, the issue of climate change is central to the survival of the planet Earth. As we stand here, Honorable Speaker, we hope during the deliberations, the members who attended the meeting, the assembly, appreciated the impact of climate change on several countries in the world, and I hope and do believe they will go, when they go back to their countries, become champions of climate change. I also hope our members, both from the National Assembly and Senate, who attended the subsequent one in Indonesia from no, the 145th Assembly would have carried enough information from that meeting, that assembly, and they are going to become in the forefront on the issue of championing climate change. Honorable Speaker, until the rain started raining yesterday or the other day, we had experienced one of the worst droughts we have ever seen in this country. For the over 50 years I've been on this planet, this has been one of the worst droughts I have ever seen. Honorable Speaker, when you watch TV, you listen to news, we talk to our colleagues here. Some parts of this country, northeastern, some parts of the upper eastern, were literally devastated to a point that it became unimaginable that this was still part and parcel of the country called Kenya. Therefore, at any given time, hoping these members, a number of them sit in the Committee of Environment, I hope when they're sitting down to budget, to review the budget estimates, they will put enough emphasis on mitigating on the negative impact of climate change. Honorable Speaker, paradoxically, the rains have started. We are going to hear floods sweeping away very many homes, sweeping away plantations, and probably even drowning animals. It's a shame that we have never had any mitigation factors in place to ensure that we harvest water, this rainwater, so that we can use it subsequent seasons when it's dry to avoid such kind of cases. Honorable Speaker, I also hope and believe that our colleagues who go outside there to meet in these assemblies put forth a very strong case for the respect and protection of family values, especially for Africans. I hope they're not going to be coerced, they're not going to be intimidated to come here and start being coy when you talk about the issue of LGBTQ, whatever we call it, and other alien practices that are trying to bring to our place here, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, as we continuously say, this is a house of debate, and members must be allowed to debate as they go forth. With those few remarks, Honorable Speaker, I support the motion, and I hope their findings will find their way in various activities, be legislation or policy in this country and the member countries. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Very much. The Honorable Andrew Okwome, member for Karachonyo.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker, for giving me an opportunity to contribute to this issue. I thank our members of parliament who attended this meeting in Rwanda, and I think the information they have given us is useful, and I do want to appreciate them. Madam Speaker, there are many problems which are common to parliamentarians in terms of their countries. They go through same problems like us, and when our MPs meet the other MPs, they automatically exchange views, and those views, some of them become solutions to our problems. I have in mind climate change, which is really a common problem internationally. I have also in mind economic issues, which really is a big problem, especially for a country like ours. I also do know that in social life, we have common problems, like what we went through on Monday this week. It is a problem that others also go through. As we know, South Africa, for example, had a problem we had. They were picketing and also demonstrating. And one thing which I admire, especially in relation to South Africa, is that they did theirs peacefully and without sending anybody to the grave. That's something we have to admire. And we have to question ourselves and search our souls as to why, with us, wherever we have people exercising their constitutional right in terms of picketing and demonstration, you normally find some lives are lost. We have to admit that we are deficient somewhere and identify those areas for corrective purposes. I'm aware, Madam Speaker, that if somebody asks me who was wrong in this, I clearly will say that our police need to check themselves, because the solution is not with killing your own brothers so that you cause those who see you doing a wrong thing trying to defend themselves using stones, because that's the only available weapon to them. And if they do that, some people say those who threw stones to defend themselves are the wrong ones, and those who use guns to kill those who are exercising their democracy, those are the bad elements. Now, we tend to turn things the other way around. Those kind of things, if I were one of the delegates, I would have really exploited their presence in Rwanda to know how they handle those things. We need to know honestly how we can handle the people who are grieved, people who are saying they are suffering and they are exercising their democratic right, and I would say their constitutional right, so that we do not kill those who are exercising their constitutional rights. Meeting of the minds is important. And what happened in Rwanda when international parliamentarians were meeting there was really a change of ideas, which is very important. So from the report we are given, I urge our members of parliament to see what we lack so that we can improve ourselves. Madam Speaker, with those I support. Thank you.
Thank you very much. The Honorable Eric Kahungu, member for Madeira.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, for giving me this opportunity this evening to comment on the report that has been brought by the Honorable Member with regard to the members who traveled to Rwanda and other countries. Mr. Speaker, I must say that in this country we have the best reports, Mr. Speaker, but unfortunately, most of those reports ends up in shelves. Most of them, Madam Speaker, they are not implemented. It's my wish that some of these reports, Madam Speaker, they are going to be utilized for the benefits of this country, Madam Speaker. And since they traveled to Rwanda and South Africa and other countries, Madam Speaker, it's my wish that they learned on how Rwanda went through a lot of pain during genocide, Madam Speaker. And what we are experiencing today on Mandamano, Madam Speaker, I hope we can learn on how we can ban a country because of something starting small like Mandamano. I would wish to ask those who are participating in Mandamano. There are so many ways we can solve the issues surrounding the country. The elections, we are done, we finished, we are done with the elections. And Madam Speaker, if it is a must someone be listened after elections, someone who lost an election, it is not through Mandamano. We have lost a life, Rwanda lost lives. It is a learning process we should learn, that it is not a must we do Mandamano, we throw stones, we insult each other. If we are done with elections, if we are defeated, it is a good way to accept that elections have been completed and we move forward with this country. Madam Speaker, most of those people who are calling for Mandamano, they were in the center stage when this economy was ruined down. They were in the center stage when the prices of unga went up, Madam Speaker. During those times, they were not speaking. they were not telling us that the prices of unga were hiked. It is only now that the shoe has turned, they are telling us that the prices of unga have gone up. It is my plea, Madam Speaker, that we learn when we go for those trips, when we go to Rwanda, we know what happened in Rwanda. When we go to South Africa, they are also doing mandamano, but they are doing peaceful mandamano, Madam Speaker. So,
the Honorable Member for Madira,
yes,
you are debating very well.
Yes.
But please to stick to the rule of relevance,
yes,
which is in Standing Order 106.
Madam Speaker, I
know you are still learning.
Yes.
But
Madam Speaker, I was only asking that when we go to some of these countries, we learn and we implement those reports. And when we go, we can also learn what happened to those countries when they participated in genocide, in killing each other, in fightings. So I'm only saying, Madam Speaker, that we implement those reports amicably. We don't just shelve them, we implement them, Madam Speaker. Thank you, Madam Speaker, for this opportunity.
Very well spoken, Member for Madira. The Honorable Betty Maina, Member for Moranga.
Madam Speaker, my microphone is as short as I am. Probably I can use the next one if you don't mind, but...
Kindly, avail a better mic. The mic that she has is too short for her. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Madam Speaker. And when the member from Madeira was speaking, he consistently repeated, Mr. Speaker. Maybe kindly to remind them that we have a Madam Speaker and the leadership of this House is coming to birth, that women can be in leadership position. Madam Speaker, I wish to appreciate the members who had visited several countries and they brought a report here. Madam Speaker, I echo the sentiment of my colleague that in this nation we are good at keeping reports in our shelves. As a way of good practice, Madam Speaker, it is prudent for us to be learning from the nations that we visit. A good case study, in South Africa, they were able to arrest and put in jail a former president. These are the good practices we should be learning from these nations that we visit. In Rwanda, we have learned about the Rwanda genocide and the very many things that happened due to bad politics. These are the things that we should be learning as political leaders. And these are the things that as political leaders should guide us when we are practicing bad politics. So thank you so much, Madam Speaker, for giving me this chance. And we continue appreciating you for good job. And we continue urging our fellow parliamentarians to learn about the good practices when we visit countries and we learn what will not pick. So, Madam Speaker, because Madam Speaker, when I wish to comment more about the Rwanda genocide, when you talk about the mandamano, I'm only trying to talk about the things that are happening in this nation. When you talk about mandamano as a bad practice, Madam Speaker, this nation is going through much, and especially we are losing so much in the capital city when people just wake up and decide to go for mandamano. As a good practice, Madam Speaker, we respect the constitution of this nation, whereby when people are elected, they should be given an opportunity to lead, and those who lose in election should give those who won in the election an opportunity to lead as a way of respecting our constitution. Thank you so much, Madam Speaker, for giving me an opportunity to participate. Thank you.
Very well, Member for Moranga. The Honorable Beatrice Elachi, Member for Dagoretti.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. First of all, Madam Speaker, before I speak on the motion, I just want to send my condolences to many of my families in Dagoretti North. Some of the kids who were carried away with water today, this morning. I'm looking at what we are debating. I'm wondering, are we looking at the disaster of this rain? Yet we have government that does not have machinery to even remove children from a river. It has been very sad today. So even as we speak of all this, and we speak about the trips that we go, I want to congratulate Rwanda because they are taking over from Kenya, because of our own corruption, because of what we have done to our country that God blessed us with, a country God gave us, that we can be the hub of Africa. But today, our young people are languishing. Our young people have no jobs. All the jobs have gone to Rwanda. We have NBA today in Rwanda. We have another hub coming in Rwanda. It is so sad that it is Kenyans who have built Rwanda, and Rwanda that is flourishing. But here, because of the 10 years of lust of money, 10 years, Madam Speaker, that we went through, people thinking of themselves, we have killed Kenya. We as leaders in this house, we do as if it's a joke. We play around. Madam Speaker, I am a victim that was taken to Hague to stand in a gap between the former president and now the president, something that I have never spoken of. That is why it's not that I can't do mandamano. I have seen what it can bring to a family. I have seen how a family can go to hell. You pray, you fast to come out of things you never did. And men are the ones who signed my signature, not me myself. So as we speak for that, I want us to focus to Kenya. I want to speak to my government, to our government, because they are the government of the day. Sometimes you need to be a David. You must be a David that looked at Saul and did what was right for Israel. Sometimes pride can take you to a wrong direction. And therefore, if we do not have leaders in this house who can face the president, face the former prime minister, and tell them, look, there is Kenya beyond all of you, then we will be fearing to do what is just for this country. Madam Speaker, we need a third force that comes and says this is right. You don't need to be a person who will see young people. You are joking with these things you are talking about. Yesterday it was a joke. Let me tell you how it comes to divide us in Nairobi. That is the time you'll see young people, those defending their properties, those who don't have properties, will be the ones now being eaten. They will eat themselves alive. Us who are laughing here, trying to please to get a ticket of 2027, the other one trying to please to show the Kalenjin how you can speak for your president. Excuse me, we will be left, we will be found again. They will come for us. They will come for us.
What is out of order, member for Madera?
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Is it in order
Would you like to state the standing order?
The standing order that says you need to substantiate on a statement you're making on the floor of the House, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, is it in order for Honorable Elachi to insinuate that His Excellency William Ruto is the president for Kalenjins only because she stated that when a Kalenjin asks about your president, Madam Speaker, I don't find it in order, Madam Speaker, when Honorable Elachi says that His Excellency William Ruto is the president for Kalenjin, Madam Speaker.
Honorable Beatrice Elachi, please respond to the matter that has been raised by the member for Madera.
I have no in any Hansard has said the president is a Kalenjin president. I have said, and I want to repeat it so that it goes on the standing orders in the Hansard, that as we joke and enjoy the game here, and we want to please the president that I am a Kalenjin, I have spoken for my president, I am a Luo, or I am a Rio, I've spoken for Raila, that is what I meant. And I am calling both of them. By the way, thank God I was given one grace. I would wish to tell when my president is doing right, this you have done right. I have wished to tell my party leader, this is right, right. And God give me the grace that I will remain that way. I will never allow myself to come and say something that I know as women of Kenya, we are going to suffer because these are our children. This is our children. They are not the children of any other person. Just the way the mama of Baringo is crying with bandits, just the way the mama of Nairobi is crying for unga, just the way the mama of Central is crying for her unga, is the same mother, the same pain. All I am saying as leaders, that even as we speak and appreciate the trips we go, our country
Honorable Beatrice Elachi, you seem
Yes.
to be continuing with debate, and since this is a House of Records, the clerks have reviewed the statement you made, and you have not
Madam
said...
Speaker, I withdraw. If that is the issue, I withdraw that statement then. If that will please us, I've withdrawn. Because I didn't say. I gave an example of how we debate. We debate for people to see us. We debate to see. I am so-and-so debating. That's all I was saying.
The
I mean,
Honorable Beatrice Elachi,
I withdraw.
According to the record, you did not say that. The records are clear,
yes.
So you do not need to withdraw.
Oh, thank you, Madam
The
Speaker.
explanation that
yes,
you have made already
I-
explains, and I believe that the Honorable Member for Madira
And I can never
is
say
satisfied.
that. I know the president is the president of...
You may
see,
proceed.
This is a president of Kenya. I am not crazy also. I don't play those politics. But then, Madam Speaker, all I'm saying, we can bring back Kenya. We can make Kenya survive. We can bring it back if we are willing as leaders in this house to also, when we see the executive do something that is not right, just tell them it's not right. As I finalize, Madam Speaker, we were supposed to have a debate of CDF in this house. And I want to ask the government, you gave 14 billion for CDF, the balance is 33 billion. We need the resources. We only have 11 weeks after we come for recess. We shall not be able, even the government cannot be able to disburse that money. GAF only got 1 billion, and we need GAF to be given their 2 billion. With that, Madam Speaker, I beg to support.
Thank you, Honorable Beatrice. I see a point of order by the Honorable Beatrice Kemei, member for Kericho.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I rise on point of order 35. Standing order, sorry. Looking around, I don't think we have quorum, Madam Speaker.
Well, honorable members, I order that the bell be rung for 10 minutes. Honorable members, kindly be guided that you cannot leave the house when the bell is being rung, so you can't leave, honorable members.
I'm only hoping Shabir will not be involved. Waliona kama wana mistake from the word go, so they lost interest. Hatukuwa accommodate vizuri. Sorry?
Honorable members, 10 minutes is over. And honorable member, standing order number 32 states that if on the count under paragraph 1, a quorum does not appear to be present, the speaker or the chairperson shall cause the division bell to be rung. And if no quorum is present at the expiry of the 10 minutes, now the House will be adjourned. So, honorable members, and the time now being 7 minutes past 5 p.m., this House stands adjourned until Tuesday, the 11th day of April 2023 at 2:30 p.m.
Good.